So TechMed Buddy, yeah. So TechMed Buddy is basically a team which is aiming to bridge the gap between the academics, research, and the corporate. So with this theme in mind, we have designed a group having the people from the different backgrounds. In our team, we have the people from the academics, from the research, and also from the corporates. And all these people are providing free of cost counseling services, as well as we are providing more than 10 plus courses which would help a student to make a smooth transition from the core biology background towards the bioinformatics or computational biology. As well, we are providing few of the courses which will help the students to make transition from the computer science background towards the bioinformatics. So it's a brief idea about TechMed Buddy. So on today's platform that we have, and the whole team of TechMed Buddy who was behind this conducting this session today is basically this. Fine. So she is Prakriti, who is the technical guru of this TechMed Buddy. She is responsible for designing the complete website and other technical things. We have Palak here. So Palak is responsible mainly for the PR and other publishing and other things. Then we have Vasudev. He is basically the speaker for today's session. Then we have Swarnendra and Dr. Swarnendra and Dr. Vatika, who are going to the speaker and speaking upon the topics like networking in science and different career possibilities in science. Then we have Shailya, who is basically a counselor at TechMed Buddy, and she is also pursuing her PhD from one of the eminent institutes of India, that is NCBS Bangalore. Fine. So she is a counselor and she will be speaking today upon the topic how to make a smooth transition from core biology to the bioinformatics, and what are the challenges and hurdles that a student faces while making this transition. Along with that, it's me here who will be speaking upon the role of data science and AI in the field of bioinformatics. So yeah, along with that, on our first speaker we have today, like he is Dr. Swarnendra, who will be speaking mainly on the topic of networking in science. He has more than 11 plus years in the industry and corporate experience. Along with that, he is a cancer biologist and he completed his PhD in the field of cancer biology from NII. So it will be great, like if you would directly like to connect over LinkedIn for him for more connections and other things. So now I'd like to over to you, Dr. Swarnendra, and start the session.
All right. Can you hear me and let me know if you can see my screen?
Yeah, great. Yeah, it's visible.
Okay. Anyone else can confirm if they can see my screen?
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. So good morning. Let's start with today's session. We'll finish in very short amount of time. I'm not going to bore all of you. First, we understand why this networking is important. Everyone keeps saying network apna badhao, bahut acha karo. It's very important. Why it is important? Why we all need to have a resourceful, very good networking. So first of all, understand, after completing our study, all of us have to do something to earn money, which is basically called employment. Ab employment ke liye we have to do the job search. For job search, we have to stand out of all of the people who are applying for that job. Like you got selected in that MSc program or that PhD program, you have qualified against all the candidates who have competed against you. Similarly, जॉब में भी वैसा ही कंपटीशन होता है, बट यहाँ पे एग्जाम नहीं होता है, आपकी क्वालिटीज देख के दे सेलेक्ट यू. एवरीवन इज कंफर्टेबल विथ हिंदी एंड इंग्लिश?
Yes, sir.
All right. So first of all, understand the success percentage when you apply for a job, either in corporate, either in academic, in any field. There is a very small success percentage. This is called recruitment yield ratio. Like you apply for a program of PhD, hundreds of people apply or thousands of people apply, only few get selected. Similarly in job, like on an average 240 to 500 application apply for single position. Only 120 get screening call, 30 get assignment call, only 15 are getting interviewed, only 5 reach to the second interview, and only 1% get the job offer. It is so competitive that we have to be extraordinary, different from all of our competition to secure that job in any field. In any field, you have to be extraordinary. And being extraordinary, one factor is called networking. You should know people, you should know the company, you should know that institution, that university, what is happening. because that make you some person who is extraordinary and different for other individual, and that you can achieve significantly by a good networking. So let's understand what does it mean by networking. Networking simply means, like you can see a figure on the right, you are connected to many individuals and you are sharing information, you are getting information, you are passing on information, and you are getting informed. Either it is by what are the new things are happening, who is who, किसने क्या चेंज किया, कौन प्रोफेसर है, कौन सा प्रोजेक्ट आया उसके पास, या फिर कौन सी कंपनी ने कौन सा ड्रग बनाया है, किसके पास कितनी फंडिंग आई है. How do you know? By the networking. Networking can be achieved by various methods, like very popular and very ease of use is social media. Most important social media professional networking is LinkedIn. I have just shared my LinkedIn link in the message. You all can check and connect to me later. LinkedIn is not a job search site. मैंने देखा है people will go to LinkedIn and make their profile when they are looking for job. LinkedIn is not Naukri.com or Indeed. It's a social media. Like your Facebook, like your Instagram, like Twitter. LinkedIn is for professional social networking. So all of you who don't have an active profile on LinkedIn, do not wait for the year when you are looking for job. Do not wait for that stage. Create it today and be active. Similarly, like you are active on Facebook or WhatsApp or Instagram, LinkedIn is so important. So first thing is social media. Second, conferences, meetup. So if there is not a very concrete reason, never deny for a conference or meetup. Very interesting fact. How I met Alok, I met in a conference. So this is a kind of a network which all of us can benefit from. Like today, I'm meeting to all of you guys because in a conference, I meet Alok and we created a network. Similarly, some kind of seminar, meetups are happening. So if you are going there, remember, try to meet as many as people. Do not just stay with your 2 or 3 friends which you went together and just attended that workshop and came back. No. The purpose of these conferences, meetups, workshops, seminars, wherever you go, the purpose is to create your network. You have an excellent opportunity to meet new people. Always do that. Whenever, keep a target. Like I used to keep, whenever I go to a conference, I keep a target to meet at least 10 new people. I will get to know what these guys are doing. I share my things, what I am doing. And this creates a network and definitely helps in future. I can say in today's time, whatever, any university, any institute in India, if it is there, I have one person here. I have one person I know, some at every place in most of the companies. So that is the purpose and help what I'm getting by resourceful networking. Next, your contacts. Keep your contacts increasing, keeps your contact adding up. Keep track of your alumni, the person who have recently graduated from your college, from your institution. Keep connect with them because they are working in some company today and day after tomorrow you are going to interview for that. That is going to help you. Your friends, your relative, keep track where they are working. This is also a part of network. Your batchmates, where they are moved out, so keep them connected. Your second degree or third degree connection. Second degree connection is like you know Alok. Alok knows me, so I am your second degree connection. I give you introduction of some other person, that is the third degree connection. So that kind of network will help you eventually in any kind of thing in future. Not only securing job, but many different things. So social network, there is a very interesting statistics I'm going to show you. 87% of recruiters use LinkedIn to check their candidates. In today's time, resume is important, but LinkedIn is most important. Even if somebody is having your resume, they will definitely look for your LinkedIn profile. If you have a good LinkedIn profile, it creates a differentiating factor and an impact on the hiring manager or the HR manager, whosoever is hiring. Okay, this guy has a good resume, also have a good LinkedIn, also have a good network. So your chances of getting selected always increases. It also helps in other things also when you are doing your job or you are writing some project or something. It helps you to understand who works where, who is who, कौन कहाँ काम कर रहा है, कौन क्या है, कौन किसने क्या चेंज किया, कौन कहाँ का साइंटिस्ट बन गया, आप अपडेटेड रहोगे. Who shares what, LinkedIn पे कौन क्या शेयर कर रहा है, आपको उसके इंटरेस्ट पता चलेंगे. For example, tomorrow you are going to talk with them, you are having a meeting with them. You understand what kind of thought process that person carries. You always get updated news. You always get updated by job postings first. You get connections in different fields. and you can also leverage one thing called message transaction. मैं आपको बताता हूँ, एक बड़ा interesting trick है जो मैं अपने students को always बताता हूँ. Message transactions मतलब, for example, you get connected to somebody who is for example head scientist of a company called Syngene. Syngene का नाम सुना होगा शायद आप लोगों ने, या मैं और simpler देता हूँ, Cipla is a pharma company, वहाँ पे वो head scientist है. And you have seen in their LinkedIn profile that they are alumni of your college. They are super senior of your college only. So you message them, great to connect you and great to know that you are also from the same college of Delhi University, for example. And they will reply back to that. In future, whenever you need them, then when you message them, they are bound to reply. They will not able to ignore you because you had a conversation in the past. So this is called message transaction. It really helps. This is one of the trick which you can use in your leveraging your connections. Also, you can optimize your LinkedIn profile. Today, because of time limitation, I cannot give a lecture on LinkedIn optimization. Basic purpose of LinkedIn optimization, many of you might have heard of search engine optimization. हम Google पे कुछ लिखते हैं, for example, हम लिखेंगे toothpaste और ऊपर Colgate आता है कि Pepsodent आता है, that is a search engine optimization of that company. Similarly, on LinkedIn, for example, if I search Sagar, so one Sagar is present in our meeting today, what are the chances of his profile getting listed top in the search is based on his LinkedIn optimization. आपका LinkedIn जितना ज़्यादा optimize होगा, search result में आपके नाम आने के chances ज़्यादा हैं. Again, this makes you extraordinary, easy searchable, तो फिर आपके chances बढ़ जाते हैं. When you are making your social network on LinkedIn, target HR persons, target managers, target the position which you are targeting. आपको scientist बनना है, आपको professor बनना है, आपको marketing manager बनना है, जो भी आपको बनना है, आप उस position के बंदे को target करिए उस company में, और ऐसे बहुत सारा अपना network बनाइए. It will help you. So that's all from my side, and in short about my introduction as Alok given. I currently work in a corporate company, and I head a business of one portfolio called Biomolecules. I head all the departments of sales, strategy, applications, scientific and engineering for entire South Asia region. And of my academic background, I had a master's from Delhi University in biomedical research. And after that, I worked for 1 year at DRDO in Mass as a radiochemist. And after that, I completed my PhD at NII, National Institute of Immunology, JNU, in molecular cancer biology. And after that, I started my career as a scientist at All India Institute of Medical Sciences, AIMS, New Delhi. I worked for a year, and after that, I moved to corporate. So that's all from my side. If you have any queries, please unmute. This is the time to ask your questions. And second, please connect on LinkedIn. Stay in touch.
Good morning, sir. Sir, what does a good LinkedIn profile mean?
Please speak a little louder, Ayushi. Thanks for your question.
Sir, what does good LinkedIn profile mean? How to maintain it?
All
how
right.
we can make
Great
it?
question, Ayushi. Because it's a big topic. That's why I have not covered today. But good LinkedIn profile means everything is awesome. Good profile picture, good heading. Everything is written in a perfect manner. Your experiences, your education, your certification. Have a look on my profile. I have also worked really hard over the past years to make it good. So please have a look as an example. You will understand what I'm saying. Even a good cover picture is required. It showcases you, who are you, about your headline, about your summary. Everything should be very precise and impactful. That is called a good LinkedIn profile. Also, you can connect to me on LinkedIn and we can chat in the message and I can guide you separately.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Any more queries here? If not, then we can move on to and thank you, Dr. Swarnendra. So our second speaker is Dr. Vartika Gupta. She is an amazing molecular biologist who has done 6 years of rigorous research work at JNU and is currently working as a business development manager. Today, she will be discussing about different domains of biological sciences and career possibilities at different levels. Over to you, Doctor.
Thank you so much, Falak, for a wonderful interaction. And good morning, everyone. Very nice to meet you all. Just let me know if you can view my screen.
Not yet.
Somehow I'm not getting the option to share my presentation. Just give me a moment.
Yeah, now it's visible.
Ma'am, you are on mute. Ma'am, you are on mute. Yeah.
Yeah. Now is it fine?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So sorry everyone. Sorry for this delay. So myself, Dr. Vatika Gupta, as Palak
So,
rightly introduced,
ma'am, your
I
screen is not visible now.
it's still not visible. Just give me a moment. Is it visible, Palak?
Yeah, now it is.
Anybody else can confirm on the same?
Yes, ma'am. It's visible.
Okay. So, like Palak introduced, like you, all of you, I'm also a scientist, currently working as a business development manager at a company which manufactures antibodies and antigens, and I take care of business development for the global clients. So my clients are present across the world. I sit in India and I interact with all of them. Previously, I had done my PhD in immunology. I developed a vaccine candidate for anthrax, and before that, I did my graduation and post graduation from University of Delhi. So today, I would like to discuss what are the career options which people like us, as life science student, can pursue in their future. So normally we all know about the conventional pathways, which is the academics. So we all know that once we do our BSc, we can go for a MS, then we can go for a PhD, and then we can become a lecturer or a professor. But apart from that, there are plethora of options which can be explored by all of us depending upon our interest. We can also join corporate. So to move on, I'll first discuss about the academic options. So like once we do our bachelor's in science, we can go for an MS or we can also go for MBA depending upon our interest. So if the person goes for an MSc, they can become a junior research fellow once they have completed their masters, or even they have completed their PhD. They can also become a JRF for continuing or pursuing their interest in research. They can join a fellowship program like JRF, SRF in any university or a life science institute or any institute. So after their MSc, they can also join PhD for further understanding whether they would like to go and continue their research. And in that, they can get trained themselves on various techniques using PhD as a platform to understand whether they really are passionate about going ahead in the research field. So PhD, I'll just say that PhD don't take this experience only as a degree. You take this as a complete personality development program. So in PhD, we handle one particular topic and we narrate the story around it. We do a lot of things during our PhD. We do our research, we read research articles, we do experiments, we do troubleshooting, we interact with different students, different scientists, we go and present our work in on various platforms like conferences, webinars. We meet different, we collaborate. So we learn the skill of collaboration in this. We learn the skill of troubleshooting. We learn the skill of communication, how to effectively communicate our things. So during PhD, get a personality development. So PhD is very important, and we should not just consider it as getting a mere a degree. So once we have done PhD, people can go for postdoctoral studies outside India. And India also, Government of India is supporting a lot of postdoc people by offering many fellowship programs like NPDF. Then we have CSIR, ISMR Research Associate Fellowships. Then we have DS Kothari. We have DBT Women Scientists Awards, which focuses on promoting fellowship to the women scientists. We have DST Inspire, again a very reputed fellowship. Then apart from that, people can directly after PhD can become a lecturer in a university or college and can follow their passion of teaching, communicating to the students about the science. They can become professor and continue their research as well as teaching in the professor in university, and in institute they can become scientists where they will have these teaching curriculum with these with their regular research and development activities. So this was about what are the options in academics, and I really would like to say that these are very interesting options. Once we know that we really want to pursue research, or we want to communicate the science to the other students, then this is very great. We should do this. But now moving on to the other side of the story, wherein we can also have a successful career in corporate. So corporate also offers research and development. So research and development, when we talk about, we think that we will have the labs which are situated or based out of industry, in the college or university. But there are various industry sectors which also offers research and development, which are suitable for people like us, the life science students. So research industry basically can be categorized into three. First is the biotech. Biotech, we have companies like Thermo, High Media, which are making products like your antibodies, antigens, media, culture media. So they need people who understand basics, they understand science, they have done such kind of experiments so that they can come out with the better products. So they require people like us. So this is one sector. And the next is the biopharma. So look around you. You will realize there are many drug companies like Cipla, Intas, Novartis. All these drug companies require scientists who can study on the products which they are developing. So biopharma is another company sector wherein research and development is actively, and they are actively recruiting people who have wet lab experience for doing the research. Third is the food industry. Now I'll ask you, you have seen we all eat Maggie. So Maggie, the parent company is Nestle. They also have their R&D facility wherein scientists are regularly involved in testing of the foods which they are developing. Say, take an example of Cadbury chocolate. All of us love Cadbury chocolate. So Cadbury has their office based out of Bangalore, Hyderabad, Mumbai, Mondelez. It goes by the name, corporate name as Mondelez. So Mondelez also have research scientist positions available where it can go, apply, and connect with them. So these are few examples of the companies which can hire people who have the technical skills, and we can simultaneously follow our passion of research and development. Then the next option is the scientific writing. So during our MSc, BSc, we learn how to scientifically portray our thoughts. So for that, we have positions like scientific writing, scientific editing. So the journals, famous journals, which we regularly refer during our PhDs or MScs, like Springer, Nature Publishing Group, Science Publishing Groups. So all these publishing groups require people who have had a experience of scientific writing. So during our MSc, we published journals. So that experience will help us getting job in these kind of companies wherein we can develop ourselves as scientific writers. Next is the market analysis research. So for example, I'm leading a company which is developing a new drug, but I don't know what is the market. And that drugs corresponds to diabetes. So I want to understand the diabetes market. So there are companies who are specifically focuses on the market analysis. So I, as the head of that company, will approach that market analysis company, and I'll ask them that give me the insight that this drug will go to which sector. So for that, there are market analysis companies and they hire people who have scientific background to do that kind of research. What is the available drugs there in the market for diabetes? What is their mode of mechanism? What are the buying habits of the
That's a
people?
minutes Alok
So
है.
like that, they want people who
चलो ना फिर रेस्टोरेंट
understand
की ज्वाइनिंग है
science,
ना इसमें हो
and
गया था.
that is why they will be able to deliver a better market report. So
मैं कह रहा हूँ कि
such
आपने वो
companies
वर्कशॉप के लिए
exist
रजिस्टर किया था
and
ना.
we can apply in those companies. Then another kind of
टेक में
role
पढ़ी ना आपने
which we
आपने
can
फॉर्म फिल किया था
effectively do is the product management.
ज्वाइन कर लो.
So, for example,
It's going.
let's take an example of a microscope. Okay, so Nikon, we all know Nikon is a very big company for the microscope. They are coming with a new product, a new microscope. So, in that, they will hire a product manager who will manage this new microscope. Okay, so the person will be responsible to maintain the entire microscope product life cycle within the company and outside the company. Since we as scientists will be able to understand different technical aspects of this microscope, we will be able to interact with the customer. We will be able to tell customer that this microscope has this benefit, this has this objective which can help you do your experiment like this has a camera, it will help you capture the images. So like that person, product manager, will be responsible for interacting with the customer, for telling them about the product. Also, internally, this person will be responsible to maintain all the stocks of the product, whether they are available in the company to be given to the customer, what will be the price of the microscope to the customer. Like all that comes under this product management kind of roles. Third is the next is the market development. So this is also a very interesting role. So let's now take an example that a new company is coming up with a very new product, one of its kind product. Something where AI is able to measure the diabetes in real life. Okay, real time. So that product market we have to develop. When I say market development, that person will go and continuously interact with the doctors or the patients to make them understand about how this product will help reduce their work, or how it will help them measure accurately the parameters which this machine is going to help. So like that, it can be done for the drugs, for any new product which is coming. So that is basically the job of the market developer, to create the awareness about the product. So awareness creation is the key role of this product, of this role. And it's really very interesting when you go, you meet people, you get new insights, new perspectives, and how to counter answer these questions which come up during your interaction. Again, it's a very kind of interacting role. Another is the business intelligence. So in business intelligence, companies hire a person who will help them understand what the competition is doing. So again, I'll take the example of microscope. So Nikon has this new microscope, and they want to understand this whether the similar microscope by Carl Zeiss or Thermo, whether they offer the similar features or not. If they are offering the similar feature, how they are portraying it in the market, what are their go-to market strategy, all this will be easily understood by the person who has already scientific background. So we as scientists will be able to tell them that this is the competitive strategy. Now we can have this counter strategy to better make our customers, which are again the scientists, to make them understand that now let's do this kind of strategy so that our product becomes a hit. So this is the business intelligence or business analyst we call them, which can be again a scientist or a life science person. Then there is another opportunity which is called as field application support. In your labs, you must have seen when we are buying a new product or new machine, new reagent, there are certain technical people who comes to us. They tell us that how to utilize this machine. So they are basically the field application support or scientists. They have the technical knowledge. They give it to the customer. They tell the customer how to use that instrument. They will also help you for troubleshooting. For example, you are using that reagent, but you are not able to figure out what will be the concentration of that reagent which you want to use, which will give you a better result. So you can write an email, you can write or call to them, and they will come to your lab and will help you set up the experiment. So that's the job of a field application support. So how an effective field application support will come? Who have the scientific knowledge, who have done those kind of experiments in their previous experience. So that is where we can also go and can do. Then similar role is the technical application support or technical application scientist. So this is similar to field application scientist. However, this person is sitting remotely. So for example, we are using a new reagent from a company and we suddenly thought that can we do this another experiment with this reagent? However, it is not mentioned in their MSDS. So what we'll do is we'll write an email to the company. Then the reply which will come from the company will be done by this task, that is technical application support. So this task will tell whether we can do the experiment using that reagent or not. So again, the scientific knowledge is very much required for effectively doing this job. Okay, so now move on to the next part, which is the market management. So this is also, in this we are becoming the market specialist. You all must have gone to a webinar or a conference where we have seen that there are stalls of different companies. So those stalls, those brochures which we come across for various products or instruments for any product from a company is managed by this marketing person. So there can be marketing specialists, they can be marketing communication specialists, or if you must have seen social media accounts of any company. For example, take an example of Thermo Fisher Scientific. So if you go to their LinkedIn account, there will be links for videos, or there will be small write-ups about a product. Those are managed by these marketing people. So they are creating more awareness about their products via offline or online marketing. Then we have another option, which is inside sales support. So in this, for take an example of a institute which is located in tier 3 or tier 2 kind of city, very remotely. Many salespeople do not get the chance to visit those those institutes or facilities. So this person will remotely connect with the people in those universities and try and understand what are the ongoing projects, what are their focus areas, and then that person will be able to pitch the right product to them. So how we will be effectively able to do that? If he or she has a knowledge of the science background. So for example, if I talk about I'm working on cancer, that person from the university talks that I'm working on cancer and working on XYZ pathway. If the salesperson doesn't understand what are these pathways and what are the reagents which can be used, he or she will not be able to guide the personnel on the university that these products from our company can be used by you. So, again, scientific background is very much required for inside sales support as well. Then, another opportunity is the quality assurance or quality check. So many of the companies which are into the production of products, like if you take an example of Dabur produces so many products which are directly consumed by the humans. So for that, we have a quality assurance and quality check department in every company, which will check all the batch which are manufactured by the company for consumer consumption. Once that quality assurance team approves that this batch is perfect, then only it will go for further uh, processing. Otherwise, it will not go to the market for the customer utilization. So those teams which are working on these quality checks are again scientists. So they write their own standard operating procedures. They follow those. They check the quality, and then only they give a go ahead for them to go into the market. So then that means we have to look around, we have to see what all products are there and where all we can apply. So we have large number of opportunities, large number of companies which hire scientists like us. Then we have food and pharma industry, which are regularly testing new products which they are developing. So they do the testing in cell culture, they do testing in animal models, and then they go for clinical trials. For such role, also they require life science people. So you can go approach them and apply them in those companies and become a crucial part of their team. Then the medical technologists. This is also a very interesting role. So we know that there are several clinical trials which are going for various diseases. So we have large number of companies which are contract research organization known as CROs. So example, our biggest CRO is Biocon. Then globally we have other companies like IQVIA, PPD, who also have their headquarters in India, in Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore. So in that also, many clinical studies are going on. So they require people like medical technologists who can actually do the experiments, or they require people who can analyze the clinical results data, or they require people who can analyze the clinical trial sites. So all those should require a people who have certain knowledge of the life sciences. So in those companies also we can go and we can apply our knowledge. Then the last, and I'll say the most booming of this time, is the data scientists, wherein we know that AI is forming, these days AI is replacing almost everything. So data scientists are becoming a day to day increasing demand for good data scientists. So bioinformaticians or data scientists are nowadays approached by most of the companies. So for example, I take example of Cipla. Okay, they are developing a new drug. So if they go by a conventional method where then they will screen all the molecules on all the cell lines, animal models, then clinical trials, and then they'll know that only out of 100, one drug is effective. That will require a lot of time and a lot of money. So to avoid that, they are approaching bioinformaticians. So bioinformaticians will check in their databases whether this drug will dock with the host cell receptor, what will be the percentage, and they will become a decisive factor whether how many drugs should be approached for the clinical studies. So like that, many people are now preferring and creating new domain for data scientists. So in the end, this is the summary about what are the corporate options which we have. And I like to say that we are fortunate that we are life scientists, that our focus is life sciences. As we all know, that everything which today we are manufacturing is for human use, and life scientists are very much required to complete the understanding for all these products which will ultimately go for human use. I So this is from my end today. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, please do ask, or you can connect to me on your LinkedIn, on my LinkedIn account. Any
So,
questions? Yeah.
Hello, ma'am. Hello.
Hi, Lalita.
Ma'am, currently I am in second year doing BSc. So,
Mm-hmm.
ma'am, I want to know like how can I keep myself updated from now, and how can I apply for these posts after my graduation?
So, Lalita, first you will need to understand what you like to do. So, for example, there are so many options. You are in second year. As Dr. Swarnendra mentioned, you go on LinkedIn, you connect with people. But before that, you need to understand what you want to do. Whether you want to become a marketing person, whether you want to go into the research and development. Based on that, you will have to chalk out a plan that after completing my BSc, if I want to go to R&D, I will do an MSc. Okay. And then I will join a corporate company. And this kind of corporate company I would like to join. If you want to go into clinical trials, you will approach Biocon or certain other similar kind of companies. If you directly want to go out for a job after BSc, there are options. You can go apply to BSc after completing your BSc. You can apply. You can write to them. You can connect with them. So that's a different. It depends completely on the person who wants to do what. It depends on that. And if you need further detailed understanding, I understand that this is a time based platform, so we can connect separately and we can understand what is your liking, how do you want to take your career ahead, then we can personalize your career paths.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, so where I can connect with you?
You can connect me on LinkedIn, or Alok will share the further details.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Lalita.
any more queries here? If not, then we can move on. Thank you so much, Dr. Vatika. Uh, so our third speaker is Vasudev Singh. He completed his bachelor's in technology from Delhi Technological University and is currently working as senior researcher engineer at Mercedes-Benz Research and Development India. He will be discussing about the role of ML research in industries and expectations from them. Over to you, Vasudev.
Yeah, thanks, Palak. Thanks for the introduction. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Let me know once you are able to see my screen.
Yes, your screen is visible.
So as Palak mentioned, I have been working with Mercedes for over 2.5 years, and mostly I have been working with deep learning. So let's just briefly talk about, let's say, what does it really mean? Let's say what industry versus academia, right? So
Hello,
what can
sorry to interrupt you. Also, can you be little louder?
yeah, sure. Okay, is it better now?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So now what can you expect once you step into, let's say, research in industry, right? So we have academy on one side and we have industry on other, right? So all of us know that, let's say, academia focuses a bit more on the core, right? So if you are an academic scientist, you'll focus on advancement of, let's say, the core technical fields. But once you are in an industry, right, what happens is your focus shifts to product. right? So let's talk about, let's say, summit. Like, let's talk about summit. So more flexibility and freedom. So what do you think about this? Like, is there more flexibility and freedom when it comes to academia? Well, partially yes, because at the end of the day, you get to choose what you have to do, right? You can choose anything from, let's say, cancer research, or maybe just a simple genome sequencing, right? But in industry, we can say that you are always going to be a bit more constrained, right? So let's say if you are working on cancer research, then you may have to find a specific company which is working on cancer research. So in this sense, industry is always a bit constrained, but because now everyone is moving towards AI and ML, you will find almost every application being applied to industry. Then we have industry always goes for, let's say, I would say more of a short-term result. Why? Uh, because you have customers in front of you, you have details, timelines in front of you, right? So, and you always work on application. So when you have applications, you always have deadlines. So let's say in academics, you can take 5 years and to build your thesis, but in industry, you may not get 5 years. Like, you may have a product timeline of 3 years. Let's say next 3 years you have to deliver this product. Then so you always have, let's say, short-term goals. Then autonomy. So now autonomy is something that always comes in academia, right? So you have total control over what you want to do. Then better pays, right? So now this could be one of the major factors why most of the people would like to go to industry, that industry pays better. But now, let's say, slowly this gap is bridging. Like, obviously, if you compare someone in an industry to a PhD, obviously someone in industry will be getting paid much better. But once you have completed your PhD, right, then if you go to academia, you become a professor, you have funding and other things. In industry, you have a salary. So pays, I would say, eventually there is no much disparity. So now let's talk about the things which will really help you decide whether you would like to go to industry or academia. So as a academic researcher, right, what you are supposed to do, or what you will be mostly doing, is you'll be publishing papers, right? And these papers will be mostly based on advancement of the core concepts of your field, right? So for instance, let's take one example. So something known as classification, right? So classification is a very simple task where you ask your network to say, hey, this is the image, is this a cat or dog? Like, very simple. Okay, like cat or dog, we have to classify. Now, as an academic researcher, what will be your goal? Your goal will be to see how can I classify it better? How can I improve the accuracy? Let's say someone said, you give me any image with 80% accuracy, मैं बता सकता हूँ whether this is a cat or a dog, right? So now, as an academic researcher, your goal will be to make it to 90, 95, like advancing the core concept. But this is where industry differs. Now, in industry, you don't have to make it to 95. What you have to do is you have to deliver it as a product. Now, when it comes as delivering as a product, you will have a lot of restrictions. And this is where, for me personally, the fun begins, right? So now you have to do the same task, but you have to do it in 10 times smaller compute. You have to do it in real time, right? So now this is where, like, industry becomes a bit more interesting, that you are much more constrained. So in academia, you may not be constrained, but industry, you will be much more constrained, you'll be much more challenged. So now then, coming to what finally comes in industry, is that you can see something happening, right? So in academia, you don't really see things happening, right? So more of it, but in academia, you have delivered a product, right? So you can see that product working in front of you. You can see it influencing people, right? Then you get a lot of patents out of it. Then papers, yes, but to be very honest, industries are always more of product facing. So like, if you publish papers, no one is gonna say, hey, why are you publishing papers? You also get ample time to publish papers, I would say, but it is always secondary, right? So if you are delivering a product and not publishing a paper, everyone will be happy. But if you're publishing papers and not delivering products, it's gonna be So this is the outputs which you can expect once you work, let's say, in academia versus in industry, then the impact which you make. So academia always has an indirect impact. When I say indirect impact, what I mean is that uh, you will be advancing the core research, right? Up just like you improved the accuracy. Let's take the same example, 95%, right? But that's but now someone will have to use your idea. You have given a very good idea, right? So you have given a very good idea which works, but it is still not a product. So someone will be using it in a product, right? So you always have an indirect impact. Obviously, you are influencing that product. You are helping in making the product better. The product is taking inspiration from your work, but you are not doing it. So this is where industry comes, where you will see a direct, immediate impact. And the biggest thing that you see is the product. So now, let's say a new paper came, let's say around uh, how to create new drugs using deep learning. Let's be very simple. एक नया paper आया that how to tweak the genomic sequence and create new drugs. This paper is then taken and applied to an industry. And this is where then they'll try to make new and new drugs. So academia is more of an abstract idea. Industry, you can say, is more of a applied application. So here I'll pause for a second to take questions, and then I'll continue. So anyone has any questions so far?
Hi, Vasudev. I'm Dinesh.
Yeah, hi Dinesh.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
So I have a question like, is PhD mandatory for going into the industrial research or doing industrial research? Like in academia, we know mostly like it's PhD. They do the research country.
So a yes and a no to this question. So at the end of the day, what industry really wants is you to be someone who can solve problems, right? So if you have a PhD, they know you can solve problems, so that always helps. But if you don't have a PhD, for instance, I have a bachelor's degree, I'm still working in industry, right? So this is not an absolute requirement, but it's always good to have. But what can always cover up a PhD is few papers, right? If you have a bunch of papers or a bunch of patents, then that also shows that you can innovate, you can apply whatever you are reading. So this you can read research paper, you can modify it, you can tweak it, you can apply it, you can deliver products.
Sure, yeah. Thank you.
So then if no other questions, then I think one question that you can ask yourself to decide, like, are you product focused? So like very simply, like you can take a very simple example. Let's assume cat and dog classification wala. So now, are you a person? Let's assume that someone has achieved by 80% accuracy. Okay? So now, are you a person who would want to make this 80 to 95 on a data set which already exists with no constraints? You can have any big model size. Let's assume you can have a model in TBs. No one cares, right? So now, are you this person, or are you a person who would like to take this 80, make it to 90, and finally deploy it in a product where you can really see it? Now, basically, you build a website where people are now putting, let's say, images of cats and dog, and it is actually getting classified, right? So are you a product focused person, or do you get more, let's say, interest when you publish papers, when you like do core research, right? So this is slightly gonna be different. Like, so in academics, you'll be doing core research. In industry, it is always gonna be applied research. Obviously, you'll be publishing papers. Sometimes you may get like really good problem statements where you have to really think out of the box. But at the end of the day, one is core research, other is applied research, where you have to focus a lot on product. So this is a question which you can ask yourself, and which will help you answer, because apart from that, I would say you can like pretty much go everywhere. It's see, one thing that is really, let's say, I would say that really stands out in industry is you will get the compute which you want. So you'll get like really huge compute. You won't have any problem for data. Like you can get the data which you want. So these are two three things in the industry which you will never have to, let's say, struggle for. But yeah, so at the end of the day, this is the question which I'll ask myself if I have to really decide academic research versus industrial research. So yeah, I think that is all from my side. If any other, I'll take questions if any others are there.
So guys, anyone have any questions? Please go ahead.
Then thank you guys. Then I'll
So
hand it over
Vasu, I
to.
guess one question we have here. Udit is
Hmm.
trying to say something. Hello Udit, you were trying to say something, I guess.
Yes, sir, one question from my side. Sir, actually, whenever we talk about computer science, we have a clear-cut roadmap of how to go in any of the good company like Google or Microsoft. We have a very good roadmap that what to prepare, how to prepare, and for what
Mm-hmm.
technicalities we have to learn before reaching to those companies. But in the field of computational biology or as a biologist, we I don't think so. I actually don't know about a clear-cut roadmap. So can you please
Okay.
tell us?
Yes, yes. So now, like, there are two kind of, let's say, I'll say positions which industry generally hires for. So one is your applied research position. Now, in these positions, mostly they'll ask very small, let's say, DS algo questions, like a very simple something like an array or a list, like very simple question. And that also is generally one round. Now, apart from that, all other rounds are focused on your biology concepts, your deep learning concepts, your statistics. So I can tell you, let's say, how I take an interview if I have to hire someone for Mercedes, right? So we have three interviews, and all of them are just deep learning based. So we just ask some deep learning concepts starting from maths to statistics to probability to machine learning and some deep learning concept. If you know this, you are in. So this is basically what generally it looks for. So very simple one coding, like very small coding, I would say, because this is something that they ask just to know that how is your hands on. Because you may have very good knowledge, but sometimes you may not have hands on, right? So depending on if you are getting hired as an applied engineer or applied scientist, right, then you may also have to write a bunch of code. So if you have to write code, then they'll ask you, let's say, very basic one or two question. That is just one round. Apart from that, it's purely based on the core concept of the field. Like the more you know core, the better it is. So they don't like like I can give you one example. So they don't look for if you know how to use how do I say, let's say TensorFlow, like library. What they look is if you really know the core concept. For instance, let's say formulating a problem using R versus let's say actually formulating the problem. So they would prefer if you can actually formulate the problem from scratch. So these are the things that they generally look for. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, sir. Thank you so much.
Guys, any more question we have?
If there are no more questions, then we can move on, I guess. Thank you, Vasudev. So our fourth speaker is Alok Anand, who is a PhD scholar at IIIT Delhi in the field of computational biology. His expertise lies in the field of bioinformatics, machine learning, and genetics. And today he will be discussing about the transition from biological sciences to computational biology and various applications of data sciences and machine learning in the field of biomedical sciences. Over to you, Alok.
Hey, thanks, Plug, for giving such a nice introduction. So, hello everyone. First of all, I'd like to thanks all of you for joining. So as Palak have told you, like we will be speaking on the, I will be speaking on the topic like why there is a transition required from the core biology to the field of data sciences, and what do we mean by computational biology and bioinformatics. So I'll be speaking mainly upon the topic what do we mean by bioinformatics and why is bioinformatics required nowadays. Fine. So this is one of the topic that I'll be speaking upon. Fine. Palak, is this screen visible?
Yes.
Yeah, fine. So first of all, before starting with the bioinformatics, I would like to give you a little bit idea about what is data science. So data science is nothing but simply like, first of all, we have like data science comprised of two words, data and science. So we can say that science of data. But for that, we will first need to understand what we mean by data. Fine. So each and everything by which we are surrounded nowadays can be considered as a data. But is the data useful to us or not? That matters much. So if from the data that you have, if you can extract information and you can compile all those bits of informations into knowledge, and then if that knowledge is going to be delivered into the policy making and when it goes into the hands of the policy makers or the decision makers and it makes an impact, then there comes the, and this entire whole journey from from getting the data to taking some decisions is known as the data science basically. Okay, and data science basically it is a complete interdisciplinary field. Okay, so when we say the interdisciplinary, it means that different domains of science are coming together to make this field grow. Okay, so the data science basically comprises of three fields together, like computer science, mathematics and statistics, and the domain knowledge. Now computer science and mathematics are the must for being a data scientist. Now this domain knowledge is something which differentiates you and helps you to being a different level of data scientist. Fine. Like when this domain knowledge is getting replaced by biology, then you are called as to be the bioinformatics. So if I define bioinformatics, so bioinformatics is nothing but So bioinformatics is nothing but simply bio plus informatics. And as I told you, like when in this particular Venn diagram, this domain expertise is replaced by biology, then this data science is going to be termed as bioinformatics. Fine. And we know, I'm imagining that a majority of the people sitting here are from the biology background. So we know that a lot of different omics we have. So omics is nothing but the different branch of biology. Fine. So when we deal with at the level of DNAs, this is known as genomes. When we deal at the level of mRNA, this is known as transcriptomes. And when we deal at the level of proteins, this is known as the proteomes. And now all these fields comprise a huge amounts of data. Okay. And before that, I would like to give you a little bit idea like what did biology used to mean few years back and what do biology means right today. Fine. So biology is basically nothing but simply bio plus logy, and it means study of life. Fine. So in the 20th century, when we didn't have the much advancement in technology, computer science, and we didn't have such a good RAM and other hardware things, we were very constrained. We were very constrained to the wet lab experimentations only. And science used to take a very huge amount of time in the process of delivering a single drug to the market. Like earlier, when we didn't have such a huge amount of data science technologies and good hardware and software things in our hand, a single drug to come into the market used to take at least 10 to 15 years of time. But with the advancement in technology, today a single drug to come into the market takes hardly 2 to 5 years of time. Because now earlier, whatever things which used to take use years of time, that is going to be done by computers nowadays and programs. So scientists designed a lot of tools, and using those tools we solve all those things which used to be done earlier using the wet lab. So that is the importance of computer science in the field of biological sciences. So as I told you, like there are different omics, and each omics is going to comprise a large huge amount of data. So when we deal at the level of DNA and genomics, so genomics is basically like the complete set of chromosomes and haploid. So basically whenever you want to make some research, and get out with some outcome, you will be studying at the level of genomics or transcriptomics or proteomics. But all these three contains a huge amount of data, and you, just believe me on this, you will be you will be of no use if you don't understand data sciences, and you do not have understanding of how to make analysis, how to you if you don't have the knowledge of mathematics, statistics, computer science, because these data can't be like processed manually. You can't, because a single genome data, it is in GBs. It is lies in the GBs, and you can't like even think of our data in GBs. Like you can't visualize the data. So in order to like analyze those data and get meaningful results, we need to have the computational knowledge. So that is the requirement for computer science in biology. And as you know that a lot of omics are there, like genomics, proteomics, metabolomics, phenomics, genomics, and transcriptomics. Now there are basically two approaches to analyze the data in bioinformatics. There are two approaches basically. Like one approach is that you are going to focus single omics. You are going to focus on single omics and analyze the data. In that, there is a great constraint, and the constraint is that the results that you are getting, that is not taking into account the interactions, because we know that biology is one of the most complex field, and in this complex field it is most complex just because of the interactions that we have. Fine. So we are like, just imagine that I'm like analyzing the transcriptome data. I want to find some biomarkers against breast cancer. So I will be analyzing the transcriptome data, but I am not taking into consideration the interaction of that proteins with the another level of data. We are not taking into consideration the microRNA with the mRNA interaction or some other type of interactions. So we are not that confident. We can't be that confident in reporting our answers, because we are not taking into consideration the interactions. And another domain of this particular bioinformatics and to analyze the data is basically multiomics. Multiomics is going to take into consideration the interactions, and that is more informative and more reliable results give us. So in multiomics basically we take into account the interactions between different omics. Like we can merge transcriptome with the genomes. We can merge transcriptome, genome, and proteomes and analyze the data and get the results more confident with the more confidence. Fine. Yeah. Now with this, like there is like one approach to understand and study biomedical sciences. This is known as system level approach to biomedical sciences. So in system level approach, we are not looking at the the biology at a single level. Fine. So we are studying biology at the system level, and when we study at the system level, we need to have a good understanding. Yeah. So we need to have a good understanding about all these different domains of science, because at your when you used to be in the schools, you used to hear about the terms like, if you are going to be a biology student, you should not take mathematics, or if you are taking mathematics, you should not take biology. But that is just a myth and wrong guidance. Trust me on this, because if you want to go into the depth of the bioinformatics or science, or you want to be a good biologist, you need to have a solid foundation of mathematics, because without mathematics, computer science, you can't be a good biologist. You need to have a good foundation and good understanding about mathematics, statistics, and computer science definitely. Fine. So you need to understand all these things together, because nowadays scientists are transitioning towards the network science approach to biomedical sciences. Fine. Network science approach, data science approach to biomedical sciences, because we are able to generate huge amount of data in labs, we are having a large amount of data, but what we now require is that we need to have good bioinformaticians, we need to have good analysts, and we need to have good computer scientists. And that is the main reason behind why mathematicians, computer scientists are transitioning towards the healthcare, because healthcare is one of the most trending field of the 21st century, and precision medicine is one of the most revolutionary field which will prove in the 21st century. Fine. Now I will be fine. So this is basically network science approach to genomics, where we study genomics by taking into consideration the networks. Fine. And this network can comprise the different omics also, and the single omics also. Fine. Now the point that comes, why in silico approach is required. Just give me a minute. Sorry for the disturbance. Fine. Now I'll be studying like why in silico approach is favorable. So as I told you earlier, a single drug to come to the market used to take at least 10 to 15 years of time. But with the application of computer science and the advancement in technology, now all those works which used to be done by by manually now are being done with the help of robots and being by the computers. So it is now within the span of 2 to 4 years of time, a drug can be launched into the market. But again, a proper research needs to be done, and a great like this drug can't come into the market by academics. Trust me on this. A drug can come into the market within 2 to 4 years of time only with the help of industry, and that is the role where industry, corporate, and research comes. The role of synchronization comes at these three different levels. No one can work independently. All these three need to come together in order to bring science at a good level. Now we are studying speaking upon what is the application of computer science in the field of bioinformatics. So like one of the most famous application of computer science is really computer vision. So computer vision is nothing but simply the data science of images, and it is basically like pure deep learning based techniques. So in this we like works with the image data. So in this slide, like you can see on the left hand side, we are having a Fmri machine. So fMRI is basically functional magnetic resonance imaging. So it is a technique which help you to understand the functionality of different segments of the brain. Fine. So it helps to understand the different functionalities of different segments of the brain. Now, earlier what used to happen is that we basically get the films after getting a fMRI done of the patient, and the radiologist needs to see the data and make comments upon that. But now with the research in the deep learning field, we have been able to prepare predictors and the different types of computer algorithms which are now able to study all these different images, fMRI images, and tell like is this which segment of the brain is being having some form of deformity or not. So there comes the role of the computer vision. Now trust me on this, with the state of the art algorithms, many of the algorithms are able to surpass the human level accuracy. Fine. Then we have the NLP in healthcare data. So like we have a huge amount of data lying in our hospitals and the different segments of the healthcare. Fine. Now this is basically EHR. EHR is nothing but basically electronic health records. So we have a huge amount of data. Like there is a data set, which name I'm not recalling right now. That is one of the biggest source of EHR records in the world. Now, and whenever we have EHR records, we need to perform de-identification or anonymization. So anonymization is basically a technique where we make some changes to the EHR records so that the scientist should not be able to tell like this particular data belong to which particular patient, because this is against the medical ethics. So we need to perform anonymization, and anonymization is done in such a way that if you want to backtrack at some particular stage of time, we can, but the scientist or the person who is analyzing this particular data, he is not able to backtrack. Fine. So there are different techniques of anonymization to perform the anonymization and remove the identification of the patient. Then we get a lot of unstructured data. Basically, data are basically of two different types, structured and unstructured. So in EHR, we get a lot of unstructured data, and after this, we can perform a lot of machine learning algorithms and data pre-processing and all, and we can get meaningful results from these data. And these meaningful results are going to help you a lot in making good interpretations, save your time, and come with the different tools. Like you must be aware that like a lot of apps are available over Google, like Google Play Store and others, which are able to tell your heart rate and cycle when you're cycling, your speed and other things. So all these are basically making use of different computer science application in the field of healthcare. Fine. So that is the practical application of health computer science in the field of healthcare. This I told you. And few of the most trending application ML, DL or AI. ML is basically machine learning, DL is deep learning, and AI is basically artificial intelligence. Let me tell you, all these three have a good differentiating factor in them, and these are not basically the same thing in healthcare. So like one is basically transcriptome data analysis, like analyzing the genomics data, transcriptomic data, and some other sorts of biological data. Like I belong to this particular field, so my main aim, like my main task is basically transcriptome data analysis and multiomics. Fine. Then cancer predictor models. This is one of the most famous thing done at the transcriptome data. Then like preparing predictors. So this is the application of computer vision. Synthetic data generation. It is one of the most important segment in the field of healthcare. Multiomics definitely, and NLP approach to biomedical sciences. Fine. So this all was from my side. Now I am open to all forms of sort of questions that you have in your mind going on. And trust me on this, any sort of question that you have, just unmute and ask. I will try my best to clear your queries. And after me, like Shailya will proceed and tell you like what are the different challenges, hurdles on transitioning from core biology to the data science approach to biology. So thanks all of you. Now I am open to question and kindly do just have your queries if you have any. Hello.
Hi Alok, I have some questions.
Yeah, but go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I just wanted from you a little more elaboration on how NLP is used in biological data science.
Okay.
So you've given a brief description, but I'd like to know a little more how it is important. That is one question. Another question I have is, how do you demarcate the applications of ML and DL in biological data science? So please enlighten on these two questions.
Fine. So first I have to come to the second question that you have, that the application of ML, DL, AI in the field of healthcare. Like in the last slide I told like the synthetic data generation or like predicting more like predicting like building models. So basically like nowadays we are having a huge amount of data lying around us. Fine. So and like the different radiologists or the different doctors, like they fail a lot of times in order to make predictions. So what we're trying to do is that basically first we need a huge amount of data for this particular thing. So we need a huge amount of data, and we prepare some different type of models. And these models are able to tell like this particular the data that we have of a patient is suffering from particular disease or not. Fine. So first we collect the data and prepare the model. After preparing the model, like these models that we prepare, these takes months of time. Fine. And these models takes months of time, and basically like these are trained on a very large TPUs and huge amount of memory, RAM, other things are required. So first we train these models upon such a huge amount of data, and after training these models, now these models like we get the some sort of information that is required to predict unknown data or the new data that we get. So suppose that I prepared a model based upon a huge amount of data, lot of fMRI images. Then now I have basically the weights. Now a particular, like suppose that I am suffering from some particular brain deformity and I got my fMRI done. Now what I'll do is that I will just take my the report and give to the models, and this model will tell me which particular segment of the brain is suffering from which particular form of deformity or not. And this takes hardly minutes. So in the training of the model, we take huge amount of time, but in the predicting the unknown data, it takes only minutes of time. and this is this particular segment which I'm telling you, like this is known as transfer learning. Fine. So this is one of the application which is being done by the help of ML, or AI. Is this clear to you, Bunty?
Alok, my question was, what are the demarcated fields where ML is applied and where DL is applied? I understand your concept of training the model and then applying it with the...
in context of bioinformatics or biological data, right?
Could you please repeat?
You are asking about the importance of these fields in the field of bioinformatics, biological sciences.
Alok, I'll take this question.
Yes, sure, Vasu.
Hey, but so Bunty,
Yes,
like basically, you understand Hindi, right?
Yeah, of course, please go ahead.
ठीक है, तो बेसिकली देख, मशीन लर्निंग और डीप लर्निंग का जो डिमार्केशन है वो ऐसे आता है कि जब हमारे पास बहुत ज्यादा डेटा है, ठीक है, यू हैव मिलियंस ऑफ इमेजेस, और उसके बाद लेट्स टेक कोई सोफिस्टिकेटेड सा टास्क जैसे सेगमेंटेशन, तो अब इस केस में तू डीप लर्निंग यूज करेगा बिकॉज यू हैव मिलियंस ऑफ इमेजेस. बट अब जब तेरे पास बहुत छोटा सा डेटा है, जैसे लेट्स टेक कुछ सिंपल सा एग्जांपल, मान ले तेरे पास एमआरआई स्कैन भी है, तेरे पास ईसीजी भी है, और तेरे पास ये दो है, और इन दोनों के पास तूने ऑलरेडी लेट्स से प्रोसेसिंग कर लिया और तेरे पास कुछ डेटा आ गया, ठीक है. अब ये छोटा सा डेटा है, अब इस डेटा से इनसाइट्स निकालने के लिए तू इस पे एक छोटा सा रैंडम फॉरेस्ट या कोई बूस्टिंग मॉडल लगा सकता है. तो ये यहाँ मशीन लर्निंग आ गई. तो बेसिकली डेटा डिपेंडेंट है. तेरे पास अगर बहुत ज्यादा डेटा है, अब देख जैसे तेरे पास इमेजेस हैं, ईसीजी स्कैन्स हैं, तो तू ऑब्वियसली डीप लर्निंग साइड जाएगा. लेकिन तेरे पास अगर रोज है, मतलब न्यूमेरिकल डेटा ज्यादा है, ठीक है, तो तू मशीन लर्निंग साइड आएगा. तो वो डिपेंड करता है किस टाइप का डेटा है तेरे पास.
अग्रीड, ये तो कॉन्सेप्ट क्लियर है. मैं ये समझना चाह रहा था, जैसे जैसे इमेज डेटा जहाँ पे यूज होगा, ऑब्वियसली डीप लर्निंग की एप्लीकेशन रहेगी, चाहे एमआरआई हो या कुछ भी हो. मेरे कहने का ये रादर मोर देन एप्लीकेशन, जो रिसर्च बेसिस है ना, मैं रिसर्च बेस्ड उसकी बात कर रहा था, जहाँ पर रिसर्च हो रहा है. तो जो बायोलॉजिकल, चाहे जेनोमिक्स, ट्रांसक्रिप्टोमिक्स, देखिए मेरी बायोलॉजी की बैकग्राउंड नहीं है, सो आई मे बी अ लिटिल इफी इन दैट. बट जो इतनी जो इन डेप्थ जो रिसर्च होती है, विच इज नॉट प्रैक्टिकल एप्लीकेशन बेस्ड, वहां पर
वो डीप लर्निंग है. वो डीप लर्निंग है. एवरीथिंग विच इज अभी जो रिसर्च हो रहा है डीप लर्निंग हो रहा है. 95% ऑफ द रिसर्च इज हैपनिंग इन डीप लर्निंग, क्योंकि बहुत बड़े बड़े मॉडल्स हैं हमारे पास, कंप्यूट सब आ गए हैं, एंड एक्यूरेसी बहुत ज्यादा है डीप लर्निंग की. तो 95% ऑफ द रिसर्च, मतलब अभी भी अगर तू पेपर्स उठा के देख ले, 95% ऑफ द पेपर्स आर इन डीप लर्निंग. डेटा नहीं है, डीप लर्निंग से डेटा जनरेट करते हैं. यहाँ पर तेरा गैन्स वगैरह आ जाते हैं, डेटा जनरेशन आ जाता है, ठीक है. उसके बाद बहुत ज्यादा डेटा है, डीप लर्निंग से प्रोसेस करते हैं, यहाँ पर तेरा सुपरवाइज आ जाता है. उसके बाद लेबल्स नहीं है, डेटा है लेकिन लेबल्स नहीं है, क्योंकि एनोटेशंस बहुत मुश्किल है. तो यहाँ पर फिर तेरा सेमी सुपरवाइज आ जाता है, ठीक है, अनसुपरवाइज. तो रिसर्च 95% अभी डीप लर्निंग की फील्ड में हो रही है.
हाँ, एग्जैक्टली, दिस आंसर्स माय क्वेश्चन कि किस प्रपोर्शन में डीप लर्निंग है और किसमें किस है. ओके, थैंक यू so much for this. And Alok, there was another question on the application on NLP. Yeah.
Fine. Like as I told you, like there is one particular data set which is called Mimic. Fine. So Mimic is basically a data set which is one of the biggest repository of healthcare data that we have basically. Fine. So you can build some of the models which can suppose that you have a prescription of the patient. Now from the prescription you can tell what are the different name of the drugs have been prescribed to the patient, which is being done by the OCRs. Fine. Then you can build models which is going to generate the summary of the report of the patient that we have. Fine. Also, as Vasudev told you, we have the data, but we don't have the labels. So again, in NLP also we get in healthcare data we get so a lot of times we get such data where we have the text data, but we are not knowing the labels. Fine. So there we suppose that हमारे पास कुछ डेटा आया, हमारे पास किसी पर्टिकुलर पेशेंट का रिपोर्ट आया, उस रिपोर्ट में हमें उसकी पूरी फीचर्स वगैरह सब लिखा पड़ा है, बट बाय मिस्टेक जो लाइक जो क्लिनिशियन था उसने उसका लेबल नहीं बताया कि पर्टिकुलर पेशेंट किस पर्टिकुलर डिजीज से सफ़र कर रहा है. फाइन. सो देयर लाइक वी नीड टू जनरेट द लेबल्स. फाइन. तो वहाँ पे हमें लाइक NLP के लाइक वी नीड टू हैव द नॉलेज ऑफ NLPs. फाइन. सो दीज आर डिफरेंट ब्रांचेज जहाँ पे हम यूज़ कर सकते हैं NLP को. फाइन.
Okay, accepted. Thank you so much.
And a lot of applications are there. If you want in more detail, you can connect me over LinkedIn or WhatsApp, and then I can share papers with you which talks about the application NLP in healthcare data. Okay. Because my lab works in these directions, like the lab in which I'm working. This particular lab works in the field of NLP in healthcare. This lab works in the synthetic data generation. So basically, currently I'm working on synthetic data generation of transcriptome data. Fine. So these are the different areas. Like our lab completely works on the application of DL, ML, AI in the field of healthcare. Okay. So if you want in more detail, so we can connect over LinkedIn or WhatsApp. Fine, Bunty.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. Fine. So do we have any more questions?
Alok, am I audible?
Yeah, Shailya.
Just to add, correct me if I'm wrong, Bunty. Like, are you also asking about what is the role of these AI, ML, and deep learning in not the translational field, but in the core of bioinformatics and biology? If that's what you want to know, there are multiple uses of ML and AI where we use these tools to train some protein structures models, say in protein structure predictions. So we'll be training a large number of data set with the crystal structures, and then we try to predict the structure for an unknown available structures. So that's how also these are used, which is not directly related to the translational medicine field, but it is somewhere in the core of bioinformatics and biology. Also, there are a lot of tools for motive prediction, some say evolution prediction, strength of selection prediction. So these all tools, if you check on, these all are AI and ML based most of the times.
Yeah, right. And one more thing to add, Shailya, like as Shailya told you, like motive prediction. So I forgot to add this. Like we get the protein sequences, and from the protein sequences we find the motives. So that is also NLP based algorithms. Fine, Manti?
Yes, thank you, Alok and Shailya ma'am. Thank you so much. Yeah, Shailya ma'am, what you were saying is, I mean, it's clear how AI and ML are deployed in biological sciences. So it's not about how those are being deployed. That was my question. My question was more on what is the demarcation between the DL and ML applications. So I think Vasudev informed me about what proportion DL is used. But thank you all for your answers, and also Alok, thank you for adding that about NLP. Maybe I'll get in touch with you regarding the applications of NLP.
Like this is one of the most used segment nowadays of NLP application in healthcare. That is to find the motives using the protein sequence data.
Yes, I understand. I think I'll not take much time, although I'll just state one thing. NLP is used mostly for finding sequential data. Anyway, I think I'll have a more detailed discussion with you sometime later. For now, this is enough. Thank you all so much.
Thanks, Manti. Yeah, so let me give you a brief introduction about Shailya. So Shailya completed basically her bachelor's in the field of biomedical sciences from University of Delhi, and thereafter she moved to one of the most eminent institute of India, NCBS Bangalore, where she is working as a structural and evolutionary biologist and completing her PhD. She joined as an integrated PhD program there, and also she is working as a counselor with us. So without wasting any much amount of time, I will over to you, Shailya, and thanks.
Okay, hi. So if I'm not wrong, I'm gonna speak about transition from biology to bioinformatics. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay, so I've just prepared few slides very quickly. It's very brief overview, just a second. Can I share the screen?
Yeah, sure.
Permission. I hope you can see the slides.
Yeah, Shailya, it's visible.
Okay. So, hello everyone. As Alok already introduced me, so I'm Shailya and I'm currently in my fourth year of PhD, and I am in a bioinformatics lab, but I am also working on biochemistry aspect and some of evolutionary biology aspects also. So if you see biology as a subject, it's not just a single subject of just biochemistry or biostats or biomedicine or say biophysics, genomics, genetics. There's a lot of different subjects with small demarcations. But when we talk of bioinformatics as a subject, it includes all of these different fields and it combines the data from such different areas, different cores, and that helps us to come for a different kinds of analysis. Because in biology, with respect to data, we have enormous amount of data from generating from protein structure to say healthcare data, where we have patient data, where we have image data, we have some consensus data, and like there are enormous, there's no end to the list of amount of data we have in biology. Maybe they would be generated by some biochemistry assay or say by some genomics assay. Alok was mentioning about transcriptome, proteome, so these will all come under the omics. Maybe it is by some genetics assay, maybe by some sequencing technique. But the thing which becomes important is after getting such ample amount of data, there need to be a subject or there need to be a core which help in the analysis of the same area. So there comes the bioinformatics and computational biology. What is these two major subjects? So here we will talk about different systems biology, which is different pathway. If someone is interested in looking at some particular pathway, how are the genes involved, how the protein involves. So that comes in the major role of system biology. We have bioinformatics. Again, we look where into detail about protein structures, protein sequences. Evolutionary biology also comes a lot under bioinformatics. It's more of like analysis where we have a particular question and then they have multiple tools and then we try to answer those questions. With the advances in the AI/ML field, there have been now a lot of trends towards more of prediction sides in the bioinformatics field, where we use a set of pre-existing data, train our model, and then try to answer some of our questions. Again, the other subject which is very important is biostatistics, which is also very important when we do a lot of experiments, when we plan for large consensus-based experiment or say in a large population-based experiments, we should have a proper knowledge of the statistics, proper knowledge of the different methods, different models which should be applied. So these all things becomes very important initially at the time we start the experiment, because accordingly the data should not be manipulated at any of the stages. So it's very important that we should plan our experiments, whether it is any sort of experiment, and then we should come with the data, whatever we are getting, and then we should look for what is the pattern in the data and then decide on accordingly. There is protein network, which again starts from a core of biology background, because to study protein network, we should know individual role of proteins, which we study well in the biology core subject. And then when we are transitioning to the bioinformatics field, we try connecting these proteins, which are part of different pathways, and how different proteins can be a part of a bigger network, say, and how these networks are getting disturbed or getting abrogated in the case of some disease-like conditions or some health related condition. So again, this field also starts from core of biology and then move towards data sciences. There's another mapping related term, like when you try mapping some of the genes. So suppose we start again from the biology field, where we know what genes are important for which kind of function, and then by using transcriptome or by using some proteome, some omics data, you tend to get some say 10 proteins or 10 genes which are upregulated or downregulated, and then you go back again to the biology field and then try mapping these genes, looking at their functions and how important are these genes and which pathway these are implicated in. And that's how again biology is important, to know the background of the genes. But again, the data science, the omics, these fields are important so that you can map the downstream and upstream regulators. Same will be the gene regulation networks and so on. There is another importance of mathematical modeling. So this is more of a modeling part. But for coming to modeling part, you should be well versed with the biology background, so that you know what are the parameters to be taken care of when we are looking for say a pathway or a reaction. What are the different factors which comes, say suppose we are talking about transcription or translation, there will be multiple key factors, multiple enzymes, multiple factors, multiple cofactors. So these all things are to be taken care of, which we will get the knowledge once we read about the core biology. Apart from that, when we combine all these core biology terms and move towards data analysis, then comes the field of bioinformatics. So major the bioinformatics, you will when you start approaching this field, you will hear about these terms like protein, data, sequences, some annotation, structural pathway, databases for the large data set management, some homology expression, some algorithm, some SNPs. So these are like single nucleotide polymorphism. So where like a single mutation is leading to a lot of structural changes or a phenotypic changes, some RNA-seq data, which is like RNA sequencing data, some HMM scan, which is like hidden Markov model-based scan to look for motifs, to look for domains which are conserved. So this is how like we start from a very core subject of biology where it can interest in any of the network or in any of the specific core pathway which you are interested in, and then we keep on mapping the sort of genes, the sort of proteins, and then we using these data science techniques we get to know the intricate details of the pathway. And it's always very, very, very important to come back to the biology and trace the importance of such genes, because once if you just analyze the data and if you say just get top 10 genes which are there in the pathway, and if you leave the study at that point, there is no further explanation to that. That is like you are leaving your study in midway between. So it's always very important, like once you get some top 10 hits, you should always go back and look the pathway it is implicated in, the different networks it is implicated in, and try getting more information about those genes and see how those are affecting at the basic cellular level or tissue level. And that's all I like to say from my side. I don't have a lot to present, but yeah, it's all like a combination of interdisciplinary courses where we need information from biology, we need information from computer sciences, we need information from mathematical sciences, statistics to a large extent. And a lot of expertise is required when we are performing experiment in terms of molecular biology, biochemistry, cell biology, depending on what sort of experiments we are planning. So this whole field is not just an independent sort of just biology or just computer science. It's a concoction from each different field where we are trying to connect a larger network, I'll say, with taking information from different areas, different sorts of expertise, and then we are coming to a proper conclusion with a very high confidence result, so that can be taken further when we talk of drug-based industries or we talk of some translational-based tools or something like that. That's it from my side. If anyone wants to know further or anything in detail, they can ask me. Or any other questions, if anyone has, please let me know.
Yeah, hi, Shailya.
Hi, Dinesh. Yeah, hi.
So currently I'm in my MTech final year doing computational biology at IIITD. So I have this like a general student query, like when I'm from a computer science background, and when I entered into this MTech program, so what I saw is that there are multiple things now at a time. You said now for this it is an interdisciplinary field, so you need to know a bit of statistics, you need to know a bit about computer science algorithms, then applied ML and DL. So all these things combine, and then you need the domain knowledge, that is biology, and that itself is like exploring it becomes very cumbersome at a time. So I want your perspective. How should a student handle or manage these different areas so that he might not be stressed? Because I have myself faced at a point of time where I was studying everything. Like I was trying to understand biology because I'm not from that background. So understanding those terminologies, those terms becomes very hectic. And then alongside preparing for ML and then understanding some statistical concepts. So these things become very stressful when learning at a time. So how do you suggest to a student entering into this field? And this is like exactly same for the biology person who is coming for like into this field, and he will be trying to learn the computational technique. So he will also face this type of issue, and from a computer background, a student entering into biology sector, he will also face this problem. So please share your perspective on how to handle this.
Yes, thank you for the question. I was about to cover this point, but yeah, so that's a really true thing which happens with everyone. Either you are from a computer science background and try to come in biology, or either you are from biology and going in such bioinformatics field. I'll share my own personal experience. So I have done my bachelor's in biomedical science, and currently the lab which I'm working is a core bioinformatics lab. So the first challenge is we have a lot of mind block in our like a roadblock in our mind, that it's very difficult to cover the whole area and how that is possible. So first most important thing is you should not try to think in a way that when you have to study biology you have to know all the fields. Like you can start one at a time. Suppose if you want to study suppose about a gene, say hemoglobin, so a protein hemoglobin, so you can start focusing on that particular pathway and then go little by little. So I hope like most of us will be having biology as a subject till our class 12 standard, so we'll have a very basic or brief introduction about biology. But when we are starting, we should not always think that okay, if I have to do biology I should know each and every core field of biology, because that is not possible. It's a very vast subject, and so there are multiple like subjects in biology. If you see at bachelor standards or at master's level, like there'll be bioinformatics, there'll be immunology, cell biology, biochemistry, and these are like a very vast syllabus in themselves. So first just try to figure out what you are going to question in your project, like what is a major question in your project, and then come one step back and then try to figure out. So say my interest is a hemoglobin protein, then I should try first reading about hemoglobin protein. I should not think in a that way that oh, this is related for blood, so I should know everything which is there in biology about blood, or everything which is there in the cardiovascular system. It's not like that. You should first focus on the very core thing which you are gonna address in your project, and then once you are clear with that, then go one step by step and then go into the next level or so on. And other things I'll say for vice versa, for students who are in biology and they are switching to computer science, you can start picking up any language which you are comfortable with. It's not that you can't learn. It's not that difficult. Once you need that thing, you will learn it. And always whenever you are learning something, say it be a language or say it be some biological terms, always try to implicate that in your work. So suppose I'm learning some shell commands or some Python commands, so I should always try to include such things in my, so I should basically try writing small scripts to check if I can access some files within, because whenever we are learning something and if we are not using for application, we will surely forget in a month or so. So always try to use whatever you are learning for some direct applications, or just for random your own satisfaction. Just try keep on practicing those, and it's not that difficult to learn. There are number of videos on YouTube, like whatever field you want to learn, you can watch those videos. But again, I'll request everyone not to go deeply into the main core and start learning from there. Just start in a backward step. Start from the gene of interest, protein of interest, whatever you are learning, and then go one step by step back. Same for computer science students, same for biological science. And for biostats, I'll say this is something which is very important. So even you are in any field of the biology, you should know a basic biostatistics, because that is like a very basic part, because you should know how to plan an experiment, how because you cannot come back after doing the experiment and then decide, oh, I could have planned in another way, because that takes a lot of time, lots of resources. So you should always know biostatistic, but at least that doesn't mean that you should be the masters of biostatistics. Just say knowing a week of courses about biostatics. There are numerous courses on Coursera, Udemy, or so on, and Alok is also trying to cover all those things in this tech buddy course, so that you have the brief introduction, what are the most important thing before you go into the main field. Because once you have such basic ideas, it is easy to know like what are the steps we are going wrong. Suppose whenever we do an experiment, we always try keeping replicates, and it can be a technical replicates and also biological replicates. So what are the importance of these replicates? So these things you should be knowing beforehand, before doing any experiment or before doing any analysis. So these are like the more prerequisite thing which everyone of us should know. So spend time on these and don't worry about the main subject. It's a vast subject, but don't try to cover everything in one go. Go slowly. You will be able to cover all of these. And also don't try to think that if you just started if you just shift it into biology, you can cover all biology in a single go. You can give time to each field. Say you started with bioinformatics and then you want to shift to evolutionary biology, you want to shift to some biochemistry related fields. So you have to give that particular amount of time to learn that techniques, learn that expertise, talk to people in that field, and there will be PhD students around you or some final year students. They can always help you because they have started with a zeroth learning curve and now they're at some stage of time. So they can tell you with their challenges what are the problems they were facing. They can help you with the resources, what all to read, because reading is the most important thing and practice is the most important thing. So which sort of assignments you should do, which sort of small task you should do, so that you have the habit of performing such things. So that's what I'll say. Yeah, and like please practice whatever you are learning. So in Alok's course also he will be telling you a lot of analysis part. Always practice it on the same day or in 1 hour date or two. Don't keep it for like a week after, because once you keep it will just pile up and you're never gonna come back and do it again. So again in that thing you will forget how to do all those things. So just practice it on in hand there and there itself, and try to involve such things in your project. So you will have your own experience with how to come with the errors, and also there'll be a lot of errors, lot of problems when you perform any algorithm or any program. So don't feel like you're stuck, so what to do next. Always ask your seniors or ask people who are around you, who are helping with you, that so they'll help you in coming out with that errors and all, because there will be troubles in a lot of sense. And yeah, that is all PhD and that is all a higher education is about. So that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for clarifying so much.
Yeah.
Guys, any more question that we have? Okay, fine. So thank you, Shailya, for giving such a nice idea. Okay, fine. So now next we will like hand over to the Palak, and now I would like to Palak to give a brief introduction about herself, and then because Palak is someone who was working like for handling this event today, and also she is working as an instructor at TechMed Buddy. So she'll give brief introduction about herself, and after that we will proceed to the Prakriti, who will give a like complete idea about the website that we have and TechMed Buddy. So over to you, Palak.
Hello everyone, I'm Palak Goel and currently I'm pursuing my bachelor's in technology from IIIT Delhi in computational biology, and I'll be teaching DS and Algo and like algorithmic thinking at TechMed Buddy.
Yeah, okay.
That's all.
Thanks, Palak. So Prakriti, am I audible to you?
Yeah, hello. Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah, Prakriti, I would like to give a brief introduction about yourself and just give a because Prakriti is the person who is handling the complete technical things of this TechMed Buddy, and I would like you, Prakriti, to give a like share the screen and give a all our idea about the website that you have designed and what all the different courses that we are offering at TechMed Buddy. Over to you, Prakriti.
Right, sure. Yeah, so just give me a minute. I'll connect the screen. Can you just let me?
Yeah, sure. I have.
Thanks. Right. So, hello everyone, I am Prakriti Garg. I am currently pursuing Computer Science and Biosciences Bachelor's from IIIT Delhi. So, yeah, basically, I have built this website for TechMed Buddy. So, yeah, we'll just briefly go through the website once. So, here's the basically contact number and the mail. You can reach out to us for any queries if you want. You can follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. So this is our basically brief introduction. So we are working towards bridging bridging the gap between the academics, research, and the industry. And all our course instructors and the counselors carry a very good experience in their domains. So we have instructors from various fields ranging from computational biology, artificial intelligence, computer science, biological sciences, and MBBS. So let's briefly go over to the courses we are offering. So currently we have one course going on, Introduction to R for Bioinformatics. And further, we have multiple courses which we are going to offer in May, June, and July. Python for data science, mathematics for data science, stats and biostats, then a master course for data science, next generation sequencing, which is like very important, introduction to algorithmic thinking, and biology for computer science. So maybe we can just go over one course. So like for every course, we'll have the instructor, course fee, available seats, and the schedule mentioned, and you can just enroll through by basically clicking this button. So the course fee is something which is variable. So we have kept this in mind that if you have any financial difficulty or something, you can feel free to reach out to us. We can see that. Basically, money should not be a barrier for learning. So for every course, we'll have the objectives of the course mentioned, that what the course is aimed for. For instance, this introduction to R for bioinformatics, we'll have a brief introduction, and at the end of this course, you will be able to write and debug codes for bioinformatics and data science. Prerequisites will be mentioned. For in this course, it's just the willingness to learn. Similarly, like if there's any course for machine learning, let's say, so maybe in that we can have a prerequisite that you should know Python or R. Whatever, basically the language which we need to, you should know to write programs. And for every course, we'll also have a course outline in which we'll have the topic mentioned, the approximate time duration which every topic will take, and a brief description which we'll just update shortly. So yeah, and we also have like a consultation. In consultation, you can just fill the form to if you want to connect to any counselor or any instructor in particular if you want. So you can fill in your time slot, your message, and just feel free to send a message. And you can contact us if you have any issues, maybe any bug in the website, or anything which you want to ask, anything about the fees, about the course, or anything general you want to ask, you can definitely reach out to us. And here we have our team of expert instructors and counselors. You can just check here, and we'll also update the LinkedIn handles for all the instructors and counselors so that you can connect with them. And we'll shortly update the events page also. Here we'll mention all the events that we'll conduct. So, for the session we had today, we'll update all such events on this events page. So yeah, that's majorly all about it.
Prakriti, hello.
Yeah.
Prakriti,
yeah.
Can you please go on the courses page and go to the course of Master Course for Data Science?
Yeah, sure.
Fine. I want to give a more idea about this. Master Course, just click on this.
Sure.
And course outline.
Course outline? Sure.
Yeah, sure. So yeah. So basically, we are planning to start this course within the most probably in the first week or the mid of the June, in this course. And in this course, we'll be covering from the basics of data sciences. We'll be beginning from the scratch. For this course, it's the prerequisite will be either you should learn know Python or R. You should be knowing at least one of the language, and if you know any of the language, then you can register for this course. Okay. So along with this course, we'll be launching another course in the month of June only, that is NGS data analysis. And along with that course, we are launching this particular Python for data science. So these are the three courses basically that will be planning to launch in the month of June. So, and all these courses are basically for the students who do not have any understanding about programming. Fine. So it will be our responsibility to teach you programming. It will be our responsibility to teach you biology. Fine. You like only prerequisite will be that you should have a willingness to learn and apply these things and concepts to your understanding and the work.